running now.
That'd be
So
nice.
the Supreme Court now rules that if whatever he committed crimes are not part of his duty as the president, it's all punishable. So you can sue him. And our old friend, the special prosecutor, what's his name? John Johnson. I forgot his name. So he's now busy preparing all the charges, and 34 felony counts are still there, and he will be still but punished by the judge, and all other charges are still there. Nothing disappeared. So get ready. Trump will be locked up in jail. I don't know for how long, maybe for 3 months, maybe 3 years, but he will be.
I
I just
suggest you,
asked the AI if Maduro in Venezuela
Maduro.
could be overthrown, and they said unlikely that it would take. That he controls the military. He can, yeah, he was elected fraudulently. He cooked the
He
election.
was. He cooked the election.
Yeah,
Okay.
according to UN observers, yeah, he lied about the vote, but he's
Well, the thing is, I don't think the U.S. is afraid of the Venezuelan military. Remember Iraq's military? They were like huge, strong. No one could come on. They got wiped out. Hey, speaking of military, we have our friends from Asia have arrived. Dr. Sharif, who believes in peace, love, and the Asian way of life, which means don't get in these crazy wars. So peace and love, dude, over in Dhaka, baby. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
That is very interesting because I think Trump also following this Asian strategy and collaborate Asia and US outreach to Central Asia. According to my understanding, I'm observing.
We got feedback coming from it was Mike. It was Mark's feedback. Okay, go on.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, the US outreach to Central Asia.
He can just go on mute, and that would be easier, and he didn't have to click on at all.
Okay. U.S. outreach to Central Asia, I'm observing the meeting is seen as a strategic move by U.S. to gain influence in region long dominated by both Russia and increasing China. By this time, I think they also make relationship. Donald Trump administration make relationship in Central Asia, 5 countries like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and they are developing C5+1 format, which is very interesting for me. Beside that, if I focus on this, King of Thailand will make a state visit to China from November 13 to 17. It means that China also making relationship with the Thailand. The visit come to the invitations of Xi Jinping and makes its 50th anniversary of Thailand-China bilateral ties, which is very interesting for me because both of the USA and China want to make an influence and control over Asian market, which is very important, specifically very important for both of the countries, for USA and for China. Countries such as Japan, South Korea, and Asia Pacific indicates that stock markets, I think Sasha is expert for these things, it's increasing. On the other hand, I'm observing this semiconductor industries, AI related firm, particularly focus on different kind of industries, and China doing excellent job through this process. So it's very interesting competition in between India, USA, and China. But definitely, I work with different US corporations for this thing. Definitely, I want more research, more innovations, more progression with these particular things. Third things, I always believe that youth are very important factor for us. Tomorrow I have a sessions on talent economy 5.0. I want to invite you all for this event. And I believe how I see this even political improvement in USA with Mamdani. The next elections, US elections, will be very interesting. I respect US culture because they are very big and democratic country. I believe after Mamdani, revolutions. And as a socialist, this is a very interesting political movement. Many Bangladeshi people, Indian people, Chinese students, youth communities, corporate people, government agencies, they really love how Mbani wins. And he get really huge coverage in Asian market, in Asian media. So I believe that this is very interesting, and next US election definitely will be very interesting, presidential election. So I want to request you all, let's support this talent economy, this youth, and this technocracy. Thank you.
I'm crying right now, but it has nothing to do with you. I was looking at the Micron stock. I bought it 64, then I unloaded it when the recession hit. It's now trading at like 239 a share. I bought it like,
So you Nick and Sasha, as you are investors in the stock market, both of you buy Asian
I am such an idiot.
stocks, like company stock, or you are working in the Asian markets or invest in the Asian market?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because U.S. market, especially leading stocks like Nvidia, for example, and many others, they provide immense liquidity. There is a tenth of million shares are trading a day, so you can easily enter and exit your position. There are options available with incredible premium, as in Nvidia, for example. Palantir has great premiums and so on. So once you get into that league of trading the leading US stocks, there's nowhere else to go. You can only fly to Mars or maybe some other planet to find maybe something even better. Highly unlikely, though.
I'll translate, Dr. Sharif. The U.S. is the world's largest economy, but I'm kicking myself because I did all this analysis on Micron. I bought it, and then I unloaded it when I should have kept it because I put a bunch of money into real estate. I'm sitting there going like, I should have just held Micron because I knew it was going to explode. Well, I have some other positions. I'm just going to hold them. I'm just not going to, hopefully not liquidate them out again. It's one of the real problems if you're an investor. You look at something, you buy, it's good, you make a lot of money, you get out, rather than saying, hey, I'll just hold it and make more. Blah. Anyway, it's something you may not have to worry about. But yeah, Sasha's got a point. The real problem is that emerging markets compared to the U.S. economy is like night and day. The people here work like dogs. This isn't Spain. I mean, I love living here, but these people aren't working like dogs here. They're having a good time, which is different. Over in the U.S., it's like, man, every man for themselves, and every person who isn't gets left behind.
Yeah, we've been brainwashed into thinking that we need to work our asses off all the time. The average American work year is 1,800 hours, which isn't terrible, but compared to Germany, where they work 1,400 hours, and they do fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, like in Europe, it's not unusual to have a month or even 3 months off on vacation. In the U.S., it may be a week.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Dr. Reef, this is a different culture, and so when people come over here, they have no idea they're in a survival mode the minute they hit the shores. Then all of a sudden, here comes all these fantasy gifts from our liberals, and then they go, okay, we'll go rely on that too, because they'll be like Europe. But this isn't Europe. It is the United States.
Have in mind, Dr. Sharif, that most Americans, they live in poverty. Those who are working and those who are not working, it doesn't matter. Most of them, 60% if you wish, they are living poverty. They are not sure that tomorrow they will have anything for dinner. I'm not talking about steak. I'm not talking about bourguignon. I'm talking about a basic hamburger or even a plate of spaghetti. They are not sure. So don't envy Americans. Please don't.
Yeah.
But
when you were over here, you saw Dr. Sharif, all the homeless people, well.
So speaking from a position of not from not this plateau that Nick is speaking of, and outside of the
You
country.
mean the three of us that don't live in
Yeah,
the US?
the premium who inherited money and then became a lawyer and then made money. So speaking from a position of the average individual, there are good things, there are bad things. As you know, I'm working on innovative ways, just like you are. There are people in the community that want to do things. So I think, Dr. Sharif, the things that you offer and the ideas that you offer would be well received in many locations throughout the U.S., from different communities, from the small towns of Bath, North Carolina, to the big cities of LA and on. So what you're talking about, are you utilizing the youth and the small time investments, because there are actually Bitcoin investors that's where the youth are. A lot of the youth are more so into the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies and that type of investments. So when we're talking about stocks and everything else, that's more of our generation and above, because more are looking at this cryptocurrency as their way out because it's quick and easy money and it's high stakes. But in terms of the innovations and all these other things, like cybersecurity is huge. They're over in North Carolina alone. They're roughly about 20,000 cybersecurity jobs that you can just pick up and go. But that's an innovation that you're talking about with the stuff that you're doing. When you're looking at AI and learning around AI itself is going to take a lot of jobs, but you have to learn that system to be able to play the game. And what you're talking about is trying to learn that system and being in that youthful market, because what a lot of times on this show and on the other shows, we're speaking from plateaus that aren't in the youthful area or the youth arena, which is what you're great for, Doc, is that's where a lot of the population is, and we're forgetting that they are there. And we need to give them opportunities, and the opportunities are there. I mean, from learning AI, from getting into fusion technology, because why? The energy technology is the energy of the future. Why is it the energy of the future? Because AI is blowing up. Even though there's a bubble right now in AI, and it's definitely going to burst. It's going to harm a lot of people and a lot of companies. That happened with the internet. What do we all use right now? The internet. So it's going to be the same thing with AI, but we haven't learned and figured out a way to make that the way it's going to be in the future. Right now, it's a new toy everybody's playing with, and it's going to break. Just like every new toy, it breaks. But how do you rebuild it? How do you make it into something that's going to be useful for the future? That's where we should have that discussion about AI and where we should go.
Let me correct you. It's not that AI will be broken. AI will not. But many companies that are investing or trying to invest or raising money, millions, tens of millions of dollars, very few of them will stay around in a couple of years, 3 years from now. That's the biggest problem. So whoever will be burned, investors in these companies, but not the AI. AI is here to stay. AI will not disappear, not even close by. So investors, that's a problem. But I don't believe that a lot of young people are investing in AI simply because they don't have money to invest.
Oh, good
completely agree with everything you said, Sasha. It is so true. And again, that's when we're talking, that's that plateau that I think that we speak from so often, and we forget that we're speaking from that plateau, which this is why, again, I love it when Dr. Sharif talks, because he's speaking from a different level. He's speaking, not saying that he can't speak from that giant level of plateau, but no, he's speaking for the youth. He's actually giving a voice to what they're talking about. And a lot of times what we end up doing is turning a blind eye to that rather than translating, in terms of financial literacy, how does that work in today's world? Looking at financial literacy is huge, yes. But how does that work in today's world? You have kids making millions of dollars, making all of us embarrassed, doing what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So how are they doing that?
Yeah. One thing, Jatovi, I just want to add with you. If you see the Asia Pacific has around 750 million youth, those who are under 30 years old, and they have a huge contributions right now in economy. From there, 10%, try to understand, 10%, because of the culture of startup, you can find many billionaires from this youth, from this Asia Pacific. 10% youth heavily contributing this Asia Pacific economy. If you want to understand the why China is rising, why Singapore, or why India, here is youth. All of the youth entrepreneurs, youth politicians, youth uh, startup, and all of the things. You can check even from 750 millions, 10% youth actually. So maybe I can understand Sasha from different cultures, and he may not visit Asia Pacific. So if you visit this Asia Pacific, there are a lot of opportunity. Why is China is growing? China basically heavily investing in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Malaysia, let's say Indonesia, Africa. Okay, that is the things. They only focusing on this emerging economy, when US actually focus on this tariff, this fight, all of the big company, AI company, this and that. China basically focus on this emerging economy because they know if we invest $10, we can get more returns compared to the developed nations. Uh, they can understand if they invest in USA or in Canada or in London. Uh, uh, if they invest in Bangladesh, it will be better outcome for them. That is one of the biggest issue. Number one, youth. They have lot of talents. 10% youth from 750 millions, 75 millions people. They are contributing this economy as an entrepreneurs. And and second things like emerging economy, always you get good returns. You can try, let's say with micro initiative, with your micro initiative you can invest in, let's say, Dhaka Stock Exchange, Chittagong Stock Exchange, or real estate in Bangladesh, or real estate in Malaysia or Dubai. I'm sure you can get a huge financial success. That is one of the secret sauce I'm sharing with you. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sharif, I agree with you. And when we're talking about youth and you're providing numbers in Southeast Asia, okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you on that. However, when I thinking about youth, I'm thinking about primarily North America. In North America, especially in the United States, situation is completely different. A lot of youth are coming from the broken families. A lot of youth are living in poverty. A lot of youth, they are rebellious. They don't want, most of them, I'm not talking about all, but most of them, they don't want to learn anything. They are pathetic in their personal relationships. They cannot even invite a girl for even McDonald's or anything like that. I don't think that, no, McDonald's is out of league because the average dinner in McDonald's now costs $20. So if he will have to even pay just for himself, forget about the girl, he will never make it anyway. Okay, so
I understand your views. Just last year, I was in California with Stanford. Few of the young talented people, I can mention their name. They are from USA, Koa, Nia, and Carlos. They are American. Honestly speaking, right now they are working in my World Talent Economic Forum team. They are so involved with their work. They really very good professionals. Uh, they are very hardworking, and their commitment is very good. If I compare example with these other Africans or Asian youth, they are very good. But their major burden, you are correct, like they finish their study, they have used government loans or study loans and this and that. So I'm helping these people. I say, why don't you try with this Asia Pacific markets? Why don't you focus? Even you can come, you can visit, you can get a good jobs in Bangladesh or in India, even in Singapore. So they are working with me. I think that they need good mentorship. And Sasha, you can help American youth or Canadian youth. If they get proper guidelines, what you are discussing, economically, they can get rid of their loans and their problem and crisis and everything. And I'm very honest with you, just focus on emerging economy. Trump need to just understand these globes. I do not know why American president always focus on all of the big issues. They have to be good strategic friend of all of the emerging economy. That's it. They can make tons of financial benefit and everything through this process.
Well,
They have to understand the economic properly.
Well, Dr. Sharif, how about this? I think one of the problems that we do have, which is causing a lot of issues, is, and this comes from top down, Trump has amplified it, but it has been for a little while this way. If we could take away this adversarial view of the Asian market, dealing with China and so forth, and so on and so forth, and looking at how you just said that there are a lot of entrepreneurs, 10%, am I correct?
Yes, 10%.
So you had 10% with a lot of wealth in the area that you're talking about in terms of that entrepreneurial area.
Yes.
If you talk about China itself has a lot of entrepreneurs, or are you talking about all of the
Asia Pacific? Asia Pacific.
Okay.
Asia Pacific.
So if you take those 10% of those investors, what are a lot of entrepreneurs in the US looking for? Investment. So how can you tie those two together when you have such an adversarial view of those individuals coming from there? So that 10%, you're already cutting yourself off from getting that investment. So for example, in the things that I'm doing in Durham, North Carolina, investment is huge. And I'm working on investment on building things and building stuff. And that 10% I would appreciate, because I think, again, if I am an entrepreneur, having those individuals and that capital available for me to build and grow and do more is something as an entrepreneur that would be great. But cutting that off and then you're turning it and saying, well, it can only come from this group, these financial investors, because we're turning away because we have such an adversarial view. The youth, as you're talking about, I think the youth mindset is where we're beginning to overcome this for some, but we still need we have a long way to get there, especially what's going on now.
No, that is the thing. This World Talent Economic Forum working. Let's say this Saturday, I have the Entrepreneurial Development Program in Chuet, Chittagong Business Incubations. This is largest business incubations in South Asia. So a lot of youth are coming. They want to develop AI startup, drone startup, and all of the things. But beautiful thing is that, like, if you work with these peoples, you can find they have energy. Definitely, they have money, and they have innovations. So that is the things. Actually, Global North and Global South, we can work together. You can find it's very easy compared to how I see Australia, how I see Europe, how I see this North America, making business compared to these big countries in Bangladesh, very, very easy, cheap, affordable, and you can find a lot of people to support you. So that is the things World Talent Economic Forum is doing. Maybe we can. So I think that, Nick, what you lost from your stock market, let's focus on emerging economy. You can develop another venture in emerging economy. Maybe in Chittagong.
Hey, Dr. Sharif, hold on a second. Dr. Sharif, just really quickly, because I had the pleasure, because I was watching a slaughter of a basketball game yesterday. It was Indiana against Alabama, A&M, or one of them other A&M schools and everything like that. But afterwards, there was a interview, because they do these interviews of people connected with the Big Ten and everything like that. And who they interviewed yesterday was very fascinating. And it kind of plays into what you're talking about, because he started as a young person. He's kind of the counter to Trump and everything, but they interviewed Mark Cuban. And one of the things that Mark Cuban said he learned from Bobby Knight was that a lot of people are too busy trying to have the will to win when they need to have the will to prepare, and all along those lines. And he had some other very good points as well in that sense, because he definitely started, he's like I said, the opposite of Trump. Trump was given a golden spoon and all along those lines, whereas he started with a family that, as he said, he thinks his dad, the biggest money his dad ever made was $40,000. And he got him to learn how to do everything from some blue collar kind of work and all along those lines before he became the billionaire that he is now and everything like that. But he definitely had some good points about how we can start businesses and encourage our young people, because he started his first business, which was a pub, when he was in college, and he had a couple of other businesses that he talked about as well, because he's even acknowledged some of the things that he did. And by the way, Nick, he had an interesting point, because he said that broadcast.com was the YouTube before YouTube, and he owned broadcast.com. And he said that was one of the biggest mistakes he made. Was he probably lost trillions of dollars because he knew that it was going to be a big business, but he didn't activate that big business in terms of the money and everything like that. So sometimes I think that's the problem that we have, is that we got these big ideas here at Pod TV, but we're not doing enough to make them happen. And this might be a $1 billion or $1 trillion business that we find out later. But it was just interesting to hear him talking about audio's Micro Solutions, AudioNet, and broadcast.com, which were the precursors to Spotify, the precursors to YouTube, and the precursors to a lot of other things that are making a lot of money right now. But he had that situation. And like I said, I'll go back and listen to the interview, because I try to dig it up and even hear more of his points. But it was a very fascinating interview. It stopped me from even cooking dinner last night, because it was very fascinating hearing Mark Cuban and what he was talking about in the sense of being a business leader.
Yeah. Well, there are some good stocks over in the DACA. Apparently, there's 2 stock exchanges they have where Sharif is. And I was looking at one stock, Bex & Co., which looks pretty good. It's pharmaceutical. It's up 29% this year. So that's pretty impressive.
Nick, you are already, you, Sasha, and all of our friends, you are very popular to Stock Exchange Commission chairman. Already the Stock Exchange Commission chairman who runs this Dhaka Stock Exchange and Chittagong Stock Exchange, they observe our this Monday shows, David Walker economic shows. And he also invite you all in Bangladesh to help Stock Exchange, support Stock Exchange, bring new innovations for the Stock Exchange. So, I'm a very good brand ambassador of Pod TV, and you should support talent economy a lot.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as long as it's easy to buy, and you can buy some stock on the Dhaka, and they have a Chittagong Stock Exchange too. Apparently, how do you pronounce it?
Chittagong.
Chittagong.
Okay.
Chittagong, whatever. Apparently, have 2 stock exchanges there.
It's like a next Singapore in South Asia.
Yeah.
And a lot of business actually happening. I will visit, and definitely I am promoting Pod TVs this Saturday. It's one of the largest business incubation, Chittagong Business Incubation. So
well, I'm going to put some of your stocks on my list and maybe start buying some. I got to figure out what to do. Because the thing is, there's no coverage here in terms of the stocks, so I have to do my own work. But I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm still kicking myself. I should have held Micron.
If you want to make friendship or collaborations with, I think many corporations, those who are listed under Chittagong and Dhaka Stock Exchange, I already promote our this YouTube channels of this Pod TVs, and it will be very good collaborations for Pod TV. And
I'm sorry, Nick, just really quickly, because I brought it up last week and people just kind of like dismissed me when I brought in everything like that. But how much do you invest in other stocks from other worlds? Because I know that I mentioned yesterday that there is good stock on the Nigerian stock market. There's good stock on the Ghanaian stock market in Africa. So a number of these countries have their own stock market, like Bangladesh does, and everything like that. So there are a number of stocks that you probably could investigate. Last time people kind of dissed me because they were like thinking that these were not worth it, but some of these companies actually do well.
Lord knows, I look for opportunities everywhere, Mark. I'm a greedy capitalist, so I don't really care where it's from, as long as it's making money and makes me money. I'm okay with it, so I don't really care. But what you want to do is just make sure that the company is in the right sector and has sound fundamentals and good governance. And if they're doing all that stuff correctly, you end up buying the stock. But that's it. You got to look at each one individually. It takes time. And I also have some clients who have come to me in Europe and they say, well, we'd like you to help us invest, but we have one rule. I said, what's that? We don't want anything in the United States. I like that. I
Yeah,
like
good
that.
point. Good point.
Modern
Well,
investing and
Gotcha.
Dr. Milan. Okay, their rule was we'll invest everywhere, but not in the United States.
There are some logistical problems if you want to buy stock on, you said Nigerian or Mali's stock market.
a Nigerian or a Ghanaian. Ghanaian.
Or okay, you cannot do it directly as U.S. or in
You have to
Canadian.
buy ADRs.
No, you have to go through specialized brokers who are dealing with this type of countries and with this type of stocks. So most likely, what available vehicle for you is to buy the fund, something like ETF. Some country funds, I mean, there are ETFs investing only in India or only in Nigeria. I never heard about that, but I would assume that there could be a fund that is doing exactly that. So you will have to buy units of the fund. So now you're taking a gamble that the company itself will not screw you by doing fraudulent financial statements and so on. Then you have to be protected somehow from the fund itself screwing you by doing all kind of insider buying and selling and so on. So I'm yet to see anybody who ever made any money in this developing countries.
Well, they
Like
have.
I said, there's a couple of people that I know that are.
The thing is, like Alibaba is a Chinese company. I've traded their stock before.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's something I wish I had held because I bought it like under 100. It's now 164. So really, the thing is, it's your time with them in the market that makes a big difference. And the real problem you have in the United States isn't that. The problem is people in the U.S., at least the bottom half, are not trained. Plus, they don't have the money to invest in the market. So because you have zero financial education and you have such a horrible K through 12 education system, you don't train people to invest. They're there to buy Apple products, but not buy Apple stock, Sasha. And that's the problem you have in the United States. So you have a continuing underclass that just keeps repeating itself as opposed to saying, stop the Apple, buy the Apple stock.
Nick, here's the biggest contradiction in your idea of a financial education. Trust me, most of the people who don't have money, they do not need financial education of any kind because they don't have money. They cannot use whatever knowledge you will provide. They just can't use it because they have no money.
I know, but see that goes back to basic financial education, which is to learn how to accumulate money.
You keep
And
going.
with that, it's
Don't
Let
waste your time.
you have to start somewhere. Like one guy said, even if you put
start
$20 into the market,
Nick,
Provide
$20, you got to start this way.
financial services to
Nick,
those who have
Don't
money.
buy the Big Mac, buy the McDonald's.
what you're missing, is what Sasha is saying is that there are people that do not have the money to trade or the money to do as you're asking them to do. It's not a matter of wasting time and effort and so on and so forth. I can tell you about a Ferrari all day. Mark, you know what? The fastest car, the fastest car from 0 to 100 right now is sitting right there. It's the Rimac Rivera. It's a 4-engine. It's a 4-engine vehicle. I bet you if you drive that car, it'd be great. I can tell you about that car all day. Beautiful car. But you know what? It doesn't matter to Mark because Mark can't afford that. It's $2.some million. Sasha can't afford that either. So why the heck am I going to sit here and waste time on that is one thing. But then on top of that, how about this? How about I give them I first invest in them, allowing their schools to be improved so they can actually get the skills to get to that 2.4 million and afford that car. So when you're starting off saying that people are too lazy or people are too no, you just got to understand that the communities and where you're speaking from is a position of privilege. This goes back to the very beginning with what I talked about with Dr. Sharif. Dr. Sharif was doing a great thing with trying to bring that innovation and give the people the skills and bring the people to the market and say, hey, look, there are these opportunities that you can have and they don't cost that much money or they don't cost you anything. That's where the youth are. But Nick, you're speaking from a position of privilege. I got all this money. You should do just like I do. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
I see. So you have excuses rather than.
Now you go to excuses.
Yeah.
It's because
It's not excuses and everything like that. It's really
I can't do anything because I can't do anything.
You're actually preaching like a street preacher who doesn't care about what everybody else says.
That's not the case and everything. Just really quick, because we need to wrap up and we got other shows that'll be on the network shortly, like Barbara and other things like that. But I will just say really quickly that one of the points that Mark Cuban made, and like I said, I'm gonna find others as well, was when he bought the Dallas Mavericks, one of the biggest lessons he learned was that people were not, and Jacoby, you'll love this and everything, was that people were needing the experience and everything like that, because it wasn't about the win-loss record. It was about the experience that he could give them, and that's how he made all this money, because he gave them an experience for the entire family, and then people bought into the Mavericks as a team and everything. So that was an interesting point that he made, was that it was more about the experience than the actual game itself, because when he asked people, and he did like.
If you look at the jobs that people ask for these days, and people coming out of college or the youth trying to do stuff, when you're asking for 5 to 10 years of experience in a particular position that is an entry-level position, how do you expect these youth to get those jobs?
No, not that kind of experience. You're misunderstanding.
No, that rolls into it.
Right. Say what?
That rolls into it. What Mark Cuban does, yes, by you talking about giving the experience to these individuals.
Right.
A lot of those individuals that come out of Mark Cuban's group can roll into any job. Because
you're thinking about it from the job standpoint. That's not what he was talking about. He's talking about the experience of the fan, because he was saying when he did basically a market study, he did a market study of the fans and found out that a lot of the fans were not really excited about going to the game. So he was trying to figure out a way to bring the fans in.
That's a whole different story.
Right.
I know about that. I can tell you about that one all day. That's something I have to deal with.
You have to deal with that regularly because the Bulls do that. But that's what he was referring to.
Well,
and everything. But on that note,
they're from other groups that I deal with, I
just use them as an example. We can use the Hurricanes. We can use a ton of groups, whether you deal with them or not. Even the Blues Festival.
The Blues Festival.
Yeah, because it was not just about the blues. It was not just about the blues. It was about other things that were going on in that venue, as you know and I know. So some people were coming not even for the blues. So like I said, I knew folks that didn't even like that type of music, but they liked the experience. And on that note, we're going to get on. On that note, we're going to get on out of here. Sasha, I know we'll have a great conversation about some of these important chess games. I've been seeing some of them on tomorrow when we record. And of course, we'll have the conversation around Russia and Ukraine, because I never got around to asking the 2 questions I was going to ask. And y'all can think about it for tomorrow, because I keep hearing our media talk about that city that you were talking about yesterday and how the fall of it is detrimental to Ukraine. And our media is making it seem like it's a big loss. But when I hear you talk about it, it's not as big a loss. But we can go into that later and everything along those lines. And then also the rise of white nationalism with Fontes, which is another thing that I was going to bring up that I didn't get to. But we can bring that up on other shows. But right now, let's get on out of here.
Okay.